Hello, beautiful people. My name is Rodney. This is your. Hello, beautiful people. My name is Rodney. This is Elevated Essence. I am duly enrolled in naturopathic medical school as well as a doctoral program for acupuncture. And my intention here is to document my journey and share some of the insights that I have gained and will continue to gain throughout the program. I'm currently today actually is my first day of quarter 7, so I'm in my second year of my program, and there are, I believe, 19 quarters total. So what I have, some of the classes I've taken thus far are anatomy, which incorporates histology, embryology, basically all the body systems and structures, as well as physiology or human physiology. We learn about endocrinology, how all of the systems work in the body. Taking biochemistry, where we learn the mechanism and cellular processes that happen within the body, which play a role in like hormone and other deficiencies, hormone regulation, homeostasis, cellular processes like energy, metabolism, so like the glycolysis, gluconeogenesis, things of that nature. I've also taken a couple of research courses where we learn about how to go about conducting research, as well as interpreting different studies, and how to decipher the information within various research articles and meta-analysis and reviews to better translate or present that information to patients and the general public. I've also taken clinical practice courses, or I'm currently taking as well, where we essentially learn all of the methods in order to conduct patient care, how to do cardiac examinations and pulmonary examinations, so listening to the heart and the lungs and being able to assess any irregularities in that regard. I have also taken neuroanatomy, so studying the structures for the nervous system, the brain, the different regions of the brain, and what functions may correlate to those various parts of the brain. I've also taken mind-body medicine course, which is essentially an introduction to different modalities that can be used to treat various conditions, whether that's freedom and emotional techniques, which is like the tapping that you see. It's kind of gotten a lot more traction and popularity here within the recent couple of years. We also learn in that course different ways to go about with like trauma-informed care, and how to assess conversations within patient interactions. What are some other, we learned some like breathing techniques in that course. We were introduced to like qigong and other mind-body forms of medicine where you kind of are harnessing and diverting energy or any stagnant or still energy that may be associated to past traumas or stress, and how to essentially provide resources for individuals to self-soothe or self-regulate their nervous system or issues that they may be experiencing within their body. So somewhat kind of like somatic type of care or therapies. Also, we take, as part of our curriculum, like a philosophy class where we kind of learn about what naturopathic medicine is and what it encompasses and kind of the history of its founding and some of the pitfalls that may be associated with how we see and view naturopathic medicine as a society in today's world. So we were exposed to like the Flexner report, which is a whole thing in itself of how like allopathic medicine and the pharmaceutical industries kind of played a role in how healthcare has been shaped and how we see it today within modern society. So that affected not only naturopathic medicine, but chiropractic medicine, osteopathic medicine, homeopathy, so some other modalities. And within this course, we also are exposed to those various modalities within themselves. So we have guest lecturers or other faculty and medical professionals that will speak to their experience as a homeopathic practitioner or herbalist or other naturopathic physicians, physical medicine, so using some of the craniosacral things of that nature. This previous quarter, I also took immunology, so learning about the immune system and how it functions and the different immune responses that are elicited in efforts to essentially help us survive and thrive, and what can go wrong, like what autoimmunity or why autoimmunity occurs, or what is the nature of disease in its essence in correlation to our immunity and our immune response. We talked about vaccines in that course, as well as different responses or ways in order to kind of help the immune response along. So we kind of got an introduction to autoimmune diseases like HIV and AIDS, lupus, yeah, fun fact with that, which I don't know if a lot of people know, that type 1 diabetes is correlated to autoimmune disease, and it is a result of a pathogen, I believe it's a COX1 or coxagenase, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but there is a virus that essentially attacks the beta cells in the pancreas and type 1 diabetes is a dysfunction of the pancreas, and you're not being able to regulate insulin. But I digress. Just something I found interesting that I had never known. Some of the selective courses, or like elective or extracurricular courses that I've also partaken interest in were a stress reduction course, so learning specific meditation techniques to help regulate the body and kind of become more introspective through various forms of journaling. I've taken a neuro-emotional techniques course, so that is essentially a incorporation of acupuncture. There's a little bit of like chiropractic work in there, where you so also a yoga instructor, and I've been practicing for about 15 years now, and I've been teaching since 2021. And there's a famous book within the yoga community called Eastern Body, Western Mind. And that book was before what is now popular, The Body Keeps Score, but this book predates that. And essentially it kind of goes into how the body stores different types of trauma, or how you can look at somebody's constitution and kind of guess or infer some of the experiences that they may have had, or how they respond and deal with stressors or discomfort, in a way like reading body language to a degree. But anyway, with that, with NET, you're kind of working with the nervous system and how to ease that emotional storage within the body, by going through a series of steps and kind of asking questions pertaining to a particular focus, and then using that to kind of clear stagnant or still energy. And sometimes it can predate like conception, or it can sometimes, like with that, like generational things may come up, but it's still affecting your own nervous system or your own body. So it was a very interesting course, and there's a little bit of like homeopathy with that as well, like the newer forms of that style of practice. I've also taken a nutrition course that was more so of being exposed to how integral nutrition is, and how we source food, and how it can help or hinder us. How it can affect how we respond to stress, how we heal, how we our longevity, our vitality, and how markets or communities that may be disenfranchised or underserviced, or like food deserts, could be affected by that, and how under-resourced communities, how their ways of compensation can affect their health through nutrition. Another course that I have taken that was a selective, is I took a neurofeedback course this past quarter. That one, it's like using electrodes that you can place in different parts of the skull, which correlate to different regions of the brain. And you can read someone's wave patterns, like your alpha waves, beta, delta, and you can assess someone or potential irregularities and see how it's affecting someone's performance, or it's more, I guess, famously used or more well used more well knownly within like high performing community demographics, like high performing athletes or like professional athletes, people with ADHD seem to respond well to it as well. As essentially you're kind of training the mind to recognize when it's in a certain wave state, and that can produce change or benefit. So someone, for example, is struggling with ADHD and they have a problem focusing. You can use a specific protocol tailored toward that individual, so that that person begins to understand when they are starting to lose focus, and how to recognize when they are in a state of flow or a more focused or state, and be able to reproduce that on their own when they within life. So it's pretty fascinating work as well within that sector. I think those are all of the selectives that I can recall at the moment that I have taken. And I started the second degree or the dual degree program the fall of last year. And so I'm in finishing up my second term with that program for acupuncture. And so in my coursework over there, we're learning the various meridians and their organ associations. So if you can see the background on my whiteboard, I actually have a final for those classes this weekend, this week coming up. And so I've been studying for that. So basically learning from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective, the different organ systems and their correlation to your mood, emotions, because each organ correlates to a specific emotion and a color. They have pathologies or common forms of dysfunction that are associated with them, and how they're interrelated or interconnected with other organ systems. And then learning the different acupuncture points along the body or in the meridians, and what and then learning like the actual techniques of traditional Chinese medicine. So I think a lot of times at least I had this misconception with that, thinking that acupuncture is traditional Chinese medicine, when it's more so that, or Chinese traditional, more I should say it this way, traditional Chinese medicine is acupuncture, where in reality, acupuncture is a modality of traditional Chinese medicine. So traditional Chinese medicine incorporates herbs, like herbal medicine, gua sha. So you may see like people more like in more like aesthetic. People use gua sha like on their face, but you can use it on other parts of the body. Cupping, acupuncture, different forms of acupuncture. So whether that's e-stem, like you can use electrodes and put them on the actual needles to help stimulate a point. Sometimes that's more so used with like people that have like a lot of like musculoskeletal issues, is where I've seen it used more regularly. And moxibustion, so using moxa, which is, what is that called? Mugwort. And they have different forms of it. Some of it that looks like wool, some that have, they're like little cones. And essentially those kind of like draw heat to a meridian or to a point, which is a whole different form of medicine in itself. What other modalities have we learned? Yeah, so in some of those courses, yeah, it's a little bit more in depth on like how to administer treatment, if you will. So that's been my journey so far in some of the coursework that I've taken. This current quarter, which starts today, inshallah, I am taking microbiology. I am taking another philosophy course. I'm also taking, let me just look at my schedule. Oh yeah, I'm taking clinical practice course. So I think this quarter, we're learning more in depth on like how to do charting and patient assessments and phlebotomy. So like being able to do IVs. And I'm also taking genetics, so microbiology with lab, genetics, clinical practice, and there's a lab component to that as well, and then philosophy. And then I'm taking my acupuncture acupuncture courses with the other program. And yeah, so that's kind of overview of where we have been and where we are. If there are any courses or modalities that have stuck out to you that you would like to know more about, or I guess a little bit more of like an in-depth analysis of like some of the things that I have learned in those courses, feel free to leave that in the comments, and then I will make a video pertaining to that, inshallah. And then I probably will make a separate video for some of those courses, either way, just to kind of lay out more of what those courses incorporated and some of the interesting things that I found within it, those course credits. But yes, thank you. Have a beautiful day.